You know what? Nah. This is a special occasion. This is a special occasion. Because with this win, President's Trophy winner, baby! This deserves something even better. I apologize for how my amp might sound, but even still, I think that this is the only way to celebrate it. For reference's sake, this is the amp that I'm working with. I'm not exactly working with the best of tube amps at this point. That's right, Bruins fans! It is time to... Well, failed twice. It is time to out! Because that is a 2-1 victory over the frickin' Columbus Blue Jackets. Welcome back to Into the Den, everybody. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Didn't really feel like we won tonight. In fact, honestly, it's pretty fitting that they call this a President's Trophy because this felt very much like a presidential race. Two teams come in, one comes out as the victor, but through it all, a lot of people that should go to jail should probably go to jail didn't go to jail, or at least didn't go for as long as they should have. There was a lot of fighting amongst everyone, and we come out of it wondering, yeah, we won, but I don't really feel like we won. Especially when you have the Bruins, the best team in the entire NHL, still on track to set the record for most wins and most points in the season, and going against the worst, one of the literal worst team in the entire NHL. Like, Columbus is deep in the tank for Bedard, and it's crazy to think that that they still might not even get him, which honestly, I don't even think that that's it's a bad thing. Like yes, you missed out on Bedard. Your consolation prize is Adam Fantilli, Matvei Michkov, or Leo Carlson. And boo frickin' who? Boo frickin' who? You still get a generational talent, unless you get Michkov, in which case you get a generational talent like 4 years from now. God, KHL contracts are so freaking infuriating. In terms of load management, tonight we had AJ Greer getting taken out of the lineup for Jacob Lauko, again, something that should happen more often, and Matt Grzelcyk being taken out for Jacob Zaboral. Honestly, a little bit surprising. I didn't expect Grzelcyk to be the one getting the load management. Although, to be honest, since he's still a top guy, I would expect him to get the load management rest at some point soon. And Omar is in also as sort of a load management. We sort of know that. That Columbus isn't really going to do anything special tonight. It's more load management for Omar for giving him games that he doesn't need to play. Just to give him the intensity of the rigorous schedule that goalies have to go through for playoffs. I mean, think about it like this: during that 2019 playoff run, in the regular season, Tuukka Rask started 45 games and Yaroslav Halak started 37 to make a really good 1-2 punch of goalies that season. During the playoffs, Tuukka literally played every single game. Tuukka didn't. There was zero time that Yaroslav Halak spent on the ice in the 2018-19 playoffs. So giving Omar the bigger load for that is a little. It seems a little bit weird to give him work that he doesn't need to do, but at the same time, them's the playoffs, baby. And with the win tonight, the Bruins could secure if the Bruins won tonight, they would secure the President's Trophy, which, hey, we already know how that turned out. Please, I am begging you, before puck drops, like, comment, subscribe. These videos have been doing pretty well as of late. Thank you, Bobby Brewski, for the wonderful shout out a little while ago. You really helped out this channel, and honestly, these videos have been doing a lot better since you gave me that shout out. Anyway, puck drops, and the Bruins and the Bruins end up outworking the Blue Jackets, which kind of expect that at this point. Bertuzzi and Coyle get a really good breakaway that Michael Hutchinson stones. I really didn't expect a game in which Michael Hutchinson was in net. I didn't expect that game to go to overtime. But during this, but in any case, but that's a little while later. Anyway, during this breakaway, Boone Jenner coming from behind slashes Coy. The Bruins end up on their first power play. The now 15th ranked power play in the entire league. We have fallen so far from second place to 15th, and as is second half of the season tradition for the Bruins, their power play looked like absolute dog water. Literally this I'm not even kidding. This power play was so bad that I legitimately got so bored watching it that I looked up I remember that Jack Edwards said that this is the 575th consecutive home game sellout for the Bruins, and I wanted to see when the last time the Bruins did not sell out TD Garden was. It turns out the last not sellout that the Bruins had was freaking December 2nd, 2009, and a 4-1 victory against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Fun fact: that was a time when Vincent LeCavalier was still on the Lightning. Also, looking at that Lightning team is crazy. Freaking Victor Hedman, Vincent LeCavalier, Martin St. Louis, and Steven Stamkos all on the same team. Honestly, I don't care what anyone says. Vincent LeCavalier should probably is honestly kind of an underrated player, and I think kind of deserves to be in the Hall of Fame at some point. Okay, after actually looking at his stats, 421 goals and 528 assists for 949 points in 1,212 games. For a first overall pick, it's it was the '98 draft. Who else was good in that draft? Like Francois Beauchemin. But Pavel Datsyuk was also in that draft. But at the same time, that was he won in like the 4th or 5th round because of the freaking Russia, because of the Russia curse. Doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter. We're getting off track. We're getting off track because my mind got off track when watching the Bruins power play. Because oh my god, it is legitimately awful. Frederick ends up going for hooking on Boston Bruins legend Sean Corrali. We'll never forget that amazing goal he had in the third period of Game 7 against Toronto, where he just sort of blows past the defense and snipes on Freddie Anderson. Amazing goal from Corrali. But anyway, he ends up Frederick ends up going to the box, which puts the top penalty kill unit in the entire league, number 1, against the 22nd best power play unit in the league. And a little bit, and like just before that penalty ends, Lane Peterson ends up going for a high sticking, and oh boy, we will be talking about Lane Peterson later today, because I think I found someone who I really don't like in the NHL. Oh, I can add him to the list of NHL players that I don't like for whatever reason. Like, let me just do a little bit of this. Lane Peterson, and there we go. Just added to the list. Anyway, Frederick's penalty dies, and of course because of the Boston Bruins power play, the Blue Jackets killed their penalty, and almost immediately after the power play ends, it's like you could still conceivably call this shorthand, and because holy crap, the Bruins acted like this was freaking short. This felt like a shorthanded breakaway. Liam Foudy just accelerates into the offensive zone and past the defense. It's chipping the puck just over Charlie McAvoy's stick, right onto the stick of Jack Roslovic for him to just tap it in and put the Blue Jackets up 1-0 right before. Come on. We were trailing at one point in this game to the freaking Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, technically, at no point during this game did we have the lead, because the only time that we had the lead was when the game was when the goal that we scored to take the lead was immediately after the game ended. Anyway, that basically sets the tone for the rest of the first period. The Bruins can't get out of their own way, and the freaking Blue Jackets are capitalizing it off of it. Culminating entirely in a too-many-men penalty that the Bruins absolutely did not need to take. But it doesn't matter, because everybody shut up. Do not speak. Do not even whisper. Uncle Nick is talking. Uncle Nick has the floor. Yeah, during the first half of the second period, Jack and Andy bring Nick Foligno into the broadcast booth, where they half commentate on the game in front of them and half ask Foligno questions about the team and chemistry and how and momentum and stuff like that. The Bruins end up killing the too many men penalty, and Bertuzzi ends up going for high sticking a little bit later. The Bruins end up killing that one as well. Really sloppy play from the Bruins, but I feel like the pace of the game really starts to shift right when Jacob Lauko drops the mitts with Billy Sweezy, and Nick even says, "Get him, nephew." He even knows that he is Uncle Nick, and he takes great pride in it. And oh my god, Jacob Lauko. I keep saying this kid generates momentum like I've never seen in anyone on the Bruins do. This kid is something else. And then after the dust settles on that fight, play continues for a little bit until Lane Peterson again. Lane Peterson. I really don't know. What do you want me to say on this one? And legitimately, the freaking Department of Fire Safety deems what AJ Greer did to Mike Hoffman worthy of 5 in a game, and yet what Lane Peterson does to Bergeron, someone who is bleeding on this. There is blood that is Bergeron's ear is straight up gushing blood. Is actually not really gushing blood. But his ear is still bleeding from this. And they initially ruled it 5. And then they knock it down to a 2. They knock it down to a 2-minute minor for cross-checking. You cross-check someone in the face is pretty much the same way that Greer cross-checks Hoffman. And you give him 2 minutes in the box. What the hell? I think honestly the craziest thing about this is that even though it was a 5-minute, it should have been a 5-minute major penalty. Our power play still somehow ends up actually doing something during the 2-minute minor. Thanks to the efforts of Pavel Zacha. You call him the king of almost, but he is the king of stick handling. And he just weaves in and out of the defense and passes across the crease to Tyler Bertuzzi, who is right there to tap the puck into the net to tie the game at 1 as the last goal before overtime. And Lane Peterson, he's still on the ice. He's still on the ice. is after this power play goal, he ends up back on the ice, and he decides, you know what, I want to pick a fight with Trent Frederick. Big mistake. Big mistake. Now, I've never seen One Punch Man. I've heard that it's a really good anime. I've heard that it is fantastic, and is definitely on my backlog. I can imagine that this is sort of what happens in it. Frederick and Peterson drop the gloves. Peterson throws something, and then Frederick just sucker punches him in the jaw, in the mouth, and he just crumbles and Peterson just crumbles to the ground like a sack of potatoes. This was so minimal. This was so much not a fight that they didn't even give 5 minutes for fighting for each of them. They got 2 for fighting. That is legitimately something that I have never seen in my life. I have never seen in 2 players go for fighting penalties that were not 5-minute majors each. And it's just befuddling because that is hilarious. It is hilarious how that happened. And, but what happens a little bit later is, definitely frustrating. Now, Kirill Marchenko ends up going for a double minor for drawing blood on a high sticking penalty against Brad Marchand, and clearly the correct call. But the refs fuck up on this one. Net front struggle. The Bruins are pushing and Tyler Bertuzzi, he pushes one right through Hutchinson's 5-hole but the refs blow the play dead. The refs blow the play dead, and the goal doesn't count. And Jack Edwards is saying what pretty much everybody is thinking. That was a goal for Austin Matthews a few nights ago. Oh, how is this not a goal? And like on review, the puck completely crosses the plane before any whistle is blown. The puck completely crosses the plane. The Bruins get completely screwed on this. It completely crosses the plane. There is no reason that should not be called a goal, and yet somehow it still ends up getting called back as no goal. Look, I know that the refs suck at their job. And I know it's a joke that the refs suck at their job. But honestly, it just makes hockey look like a joke. And the fact that the refs are not available for interview after the game is just pathetic. It is a mockery of truly a fantastic game. Hockey is probably one of the most fun games to watch ever. Like, come on. Big men on knife shoes fighting over an Oreo. Come on. Tell me that is not the best thing ever. But if you're going to be able to interview everybody from the stars to the bench warmers to the head coaches to the assistant coaches, and you can't interview the refs, that is awful. That is the sign of a broken league. And Gary Bettman is already on everybody's shit list. Not constant expansion and constant rule changes that don't make sense. And it's except for that one about going off sides because of Matt Duchene. But even still, Bettman is a joke. Bettman is a freaking joke. And it just makes it honestly just makes the game feel a little bit even more like, oh boy, talk about President's Trophy, because not only that, we also have to deal with a completely broken system that everybody complains about, but nobody actually has the power to actually change. But even still, after this play gets called back, I honestly I could stay mad at that goal not being counted, but honestly I'm more mad at the Bruins because is you still have 3.5 minutes of power play and you do not score on any of it. Again, absolutely pathetic. Now, let's get to the third period. Almost immediately off the bat, the Bruins give up a Johnny Gaudreau breakaway, but Linus Ullmark stones him, and honestly, it's kind of par for the course for Johnny Gaudreau. This man, compared to his plus minus last season, so like I forget what his plus minus was last season. I can look it up right now. This man was a plus 64 last season, and is a minus 31 this season. And that is in comparison a minus 95, which is the largest season to season drop in plus minus since the stat of plus minus was starting to be tracked. I know we talk so much shit about Johnny Gaudreau and about Johnny Gaudreau going to Seattle, going to Columbus because he wants to win games. But come on. And I know the joke may have gotten stale to some, but when this happens, how is that not? How can you not mock that? Doesn't matter. Because what happens afterwards is a little bit scary. Jack Roslovic ends up flying into the boards head first, and he gets up disoriented. He is not feeling good. Bergeron's not feeling good either. He is in the locker room to start the third period, and he ends up coming back later on, as does Roslovic. But even still, very scary head injuries from both the Bruins and the Blue Jackets. I keep wanting to say either the Red Wings or the Golden Knights. They're the Blue Jackets. And then we get Boone Jenner pushing Brandon Carlo into the boards. It's in the numbers. That should be a cross-checking. That should be a boarding penalty. But instead, we get something that we really don't see that often, and honestly, something that I do not want to see often. Brandon Carlo fighting. Now I know 6'6", 218 sounds like a fun guy to watch fight. But two things. First of all, Carlo's not really much of a fighter. He doesn't really get into the scrums too often. And second of all, Brandon Carlo's injury history. He has missed time in several previous Bruins seasons, particularly 2020 to 2021, and during the 56 game season. And Carlo only played half of those games because he was out with a concussion for the majority of the season. The guy is no stranger to getting his eggs scrambled, and we really, really do not want to make an omelet out of that guy's head. But it doesn't really end too bad. They end up it's pretty much just them pushing and shoving and punching each other against the boards, but not too much. Nobody gets dropped to the ground, and they pretty much end up hugging it out at the end, and that's pretty much the end of the third period. Nothing else really happens, and so we go to OT. For some reason, this game is going to overtime. That's another thing that makes it like a presidential election. It goes on a lot longer than you really want it to. Overtime starts fantastically. On the opening faceoff, Sean Corrali and Patrice Bergeron, both sticks just completely break on the opening faceoff, which again I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. Bruins end up controlling the puck for the better part of the OT, and it culminates in Hampus Lindholm forechecking, making a rainbow pass over to David Pastrnak. Pastrnak outspeeding the entire defense. It's blazing past Michael Hutchinson and backhanding it and up and in. And that is a history-making goal. Not only are the Bruins President's Trophy winners again for the fourth time in for the fourth time in franchise history and the third time in the past 10 years. But this win is our 58th win of the season, which makes it a franchise record in goals scored. Give yourselves a hands, guys. You freaking earned this shit. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. And I could not be more happy that this team made it to this many wins. And considering the rest of the schedule, where we're facing a Pittsburgh team who's been struggling, a St. Louis team who's been walking dead, and a Philadelphia team who's just been pathetic, and a Montreal team who's tanking for who's again gunning for a top spot in the draft. I think we could theoretically make it to 62 wins this season, potentially even 63. I don't want to jinx it. But come on. I know you've been thinking about it. I know you have been thinking about it. Do not tell me that you have not been thinking about the potential of this team to do something insane with this record. But while you continue to think about it, you got another day, and then you got a day's rest to think about it, and then you got the game against Pittsburgh on Saturday. And that is the end of March. That is the end of March. There are 7 games left on the schedule. It's crazy. I remember when this season started. I didn't think that it was going to be this insane, and I did not expect it to end this quickly. But a little heads up. I will not be recording on Saturday. I will instead be doing a double header. I will instead be doing a double long episode on Sunday, because Saturday is my 21st birthday. And I am not gonna be recording on that day. I'm gonna watch the game. I'm gonna take notes, but I am not going to record. I have other stuff I want to do that day. But I'll see you guys on the other side of 21. That is it for tonight's episode. I'll see you guys next time.